Tax Ready Fest was put together to bring all the different city organizations together and organizations that are involved in preparedness for the city of Jacksonville.
We have got our mutual aid agreements in place. We have done all our hurricane preparedness checklists, and I've seen us in action. We have a lot of practice.
At 82, Frances Marie Leverett has raised her two grandsons since they were infants. The teenagers call her Mom.
I tell the boys, when you get through with the Xbox, turn the surge protector off because it's still drawing power, and they do not get it.
Frances was 2 months behind on her utility bill and concerned her power might get cut off. So she made an appointment with Catholic Charities and came to Senior Day at JEA to get assistance. Senior Day at JEA is held in the lobby of JEA's headquarters. Seniors must have an appointment to get assistance.
We meet monthly, the third Wednesday of the month from 9 to 3. And the best part is that we added a senior resource fair so that anyone can come in and learn about ways that they can put money back in their pocket.
After meeting with Catholic Charities, Frances enjoyed the resource fair. She went home with 2 bags of food and even got help from JEA carrying the groceries to her car.
Thanks to an $850,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Energy, 76 homes on Jacksonville's historic east side will get efficiency upgrades designed to save homeowners money on their energy and water bills. JEA collaborated with a coalition of community groups to get the grant.
Well, it started with conversations in our customer service center. Many of the call center representatives talk to customers that were really having difficulty. So we realized that there was not a lot that we can do from a financial perspective to change those conditions, but we could find partners.
Each home will first get a blower door test to measure just how much air is entering or escaping the house. After that, based on test results, the partners will make repairs and energy upgrades that could save homeowners about $44 a month on their JEA bill. The 76 homes to be part of the program will be selected carefully.
So we're looking at customers who live in single-family, owner-occupied homes, and then we're further looking at the energy consumption. So what we call energy intensity usage, which is the consumption per square foot.
The partners hope to get additional grant money to help restore more East Side homes. Until then, there's one thing all homeowners can do, no matter their neighborhood, to save on their JEA bill.
JEA offers energy efficiency audits. They're free to all of our customers. And you can sign up for those. You can call 665-6000. Of course, use the area code 904-665-6000.
There we go. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. First thing I'd like to do is let's have a time of reflection. And just while we're on this, first thoughts and prayers out to our fellow board member, Rick Morales, whose mother passed away last week, Marcia Morales at 97 years old. And then also just thoughts and prayers out to a JEA lineman who was injured last Wednesday. His condition continues to improve, so please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers too. Okay, thank you. I'd ask for a motion for the adoption of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and Adam Penley, can you please give us a values moment?
Yes, sir. For those of you that are attending in person, the safety protocol is on the screen and in your materials. For those that are attending remotely, please be mindful of your surroundings. My name is Adam Pendley. I am the manager of emergency preparedness for JEA. I've been with JEA for 2 years, and we work to support JEA in response to and recovery from disasters and other emergencies. At JEA, our values are safety, respect, integrity, and for today's values moment, I want to highlight our value of safety. We put the physical and emotional well-being of our people first, both at and away from work. This is especially an important topic as we prepare for hurricane season. In many positive ways, a disaster and emergency response, which our crews respond to, can lead to a sense of strength, confidence, and contribution. Serving others is rewarding, satisfying, and reminds us of what's important in our own lives. But challenges in emergency response work include our own families may be impacted. Responsibility for others causes self-neglect. Self-imposed time pressures or the need to hurry, the severity and duration of the event, and it's emotionally draining to see others affected by disaster. But self-awareness is our starting point for self-care. We may do this on our own, with our teams, with our organization, and our own support systems. Self-care strategies include formal and deliberate self-assessment, personal and organizational checklists, using technology apps, routine check-ins, and most importantly, accepting help and support from others. Barriers to self-care include considering self-care to be a luxury or an indulgence, overconfidence, I don't need help, or denial, I'm fine. But remember, most importantly, almost everything will work better if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you.
Excuse me, thanks, Adam. Now we'll do comments from the public. And Keith Hodges, please.
Thank you, through the chair. My name is Keith Hodges. I'm an outgoing operating engineer with Brandy Branch Combined Cycle. And what I wanted to speak with you guys about today is that I've got a list of all the people that worked under our former CEO, and they've been hired all over the United States, and they would zoom in. We've got a city of 1 million here. There is no way that we do not have the talent to fill these positions if all these are needed. There's about 26 on here, and they're all in 6 figures. And they're Tennessee, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Texas, Missouri, Utah, all over. There's no way they can serve the customers from Utah. The other thing that disturbs me is one of the last official letters that Jay Stowe put out. He said that we would have access to a combined cycle project. We don't need access. We need our on to where we can supply our customers. Because if we depend on the grid, in my 25 years, there have been twice we could not supply. We could not buy any at $10,000 a megawatt, could not buy it. And we need to be able to serve our own people. My understanding is that west of 301, they're going to be building 20,000 homes. We need to be able to provide power to them and not to anybody else. But if the grid is good, but you cannot always rely on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next, Logan Cross, please.
Logan Cross, I'm a San Marco resident and also the chair of the Sierra Club, Northeast Florida. JEA's mission and mission has been since its inception has been to deliver affordable, reliable electricity. And for the most part, it has done a very good job of that. But what has been unclear is what is JEA's vision for the future? What kind of utility does JEA wish to be in 20, maybe 30 years? In the absence of any clear vision statement or indication of what that might be, one has to assume that the current integrated resource plan is the roadmap for what JEA wants to be. And for the most part, that is pretty much what it has been in the past, a utility that delivers affordable and reliable electricity without much regard for environmental factors or other damage that might occur. The new CEO change or the change of a new CEO provides an excellent opportunity to set a vision for JEA in the future. The criteria and the processes that you all employ in selecting the CEO will go a long way towards determining that. We strongly encourage you, and by say we in the environmental advocacy community, but also many socially minded organizations, encourage JEA to select a new CEO that has a vision for the future, a vision that recognizes that the energy generation industry is changing, a CEO that recognizes that climate change is occurring and that JEA needs to respond accordingly. But also get a CEO that's willing to take the many incentives that are available for making that transition to a different energy generation model. Ultimately, we hope that JEA establishes a course to become a utility that provides affordable, reliable electricity that also happens to be clean. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Logan. And Lori Ann Santa Maria, please.
Hello, good morning. My name is Lori Ann Santa Maria. I'm a JEA customer. I live in the Miramar neighborhood of Jacksonville. And I want to start off actually by saying thank you. I know that you guys signed agreements last week, bringing on 200 megawatts of power that will be available to us by 2026. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you. But I came here this morning to express my concerns as a ratepayer regarding current decisions that are in front of you. And that will impact energy costs for everyone in JEA's territory. In 2008, when the agreement for Vogtle was signed, it was widely seen as a sound economic decision at the time. And for unforeseen reasons, obviously, that didn't turn out to be the case, and we're still dealing with that 16 years later. The board has a similar decision in front of it now with a proposal to spend $1 billion on a new combined cycle gas plant. However, the big difference is that today in 2024, when you're making this decision already, it's not financially sound. With the electrification of our economy, including JEA's own Drive Electric campaign, it's true that we will need to build capacity and very quickly. In fact, as a country, we're on track to add more capacity in 2024 than we have in any year since 2003. However, the US EIA has released data that show that only 4% of that new capacity that's being added is natural gas, just 4%. So please, those of you that are being asked to approve a plan to build a natural gas plant, please ask the people providing you guidance to explain what JEA knows that the rest of the country does not. Please question those that tell you that a combined cycle gas plant is less expensive than the alternatives. Question those that tell you it's required to build capacity quickly enough to meet our needs. When 96% of the country has moved away from gas, or at least from building new gas plants, please question the interests of those around you that are advising you to do otherwise. Back in 2008, the Plant Vogtle agreement made economic sense, yet we still question the decision of the people that were sitting in your seat 16 years ago. Today, a new combined cycle gas plant does not make financial sense. What will the people sitting in your seat 16 years from now say when people like me come in front of them concerned about the cost of their electricity? Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Baber, I hope I said that name right.
You did. Thank you. It doesn't happen very often. My name is Jason Baber. Today is my 12-year anniversary as a JEA engineer. I am here, though, on my own time as a customer since 1997, speaking for myself. At JEA, our commitment to integrity extends beyond mere compliance. It encompasses the very perception we aspire to project. We meticulously try to avoid any semblance of impropriety, even if it means something like steering clear of questionable establishments while parking our utility vehicles for legitimate work reasons near those locations. The optics matter, and we adhere to these unspoken guidelines in deference to the perception they could create. However, let's address the public's current perception of JEA. It's no secret that a series of decisions by former leaders has cast a shadow over our organization. From a poorly negotiated contract with Plant Vogel years ago to instances of legitimate corruption to postponed projects now looming large, we find ourselves currently grappling with this confluence of consequences from the past. Perception is a curious thing. It's malleable, it's shaped by knowledge, misinformation, and incomplete understanding. As an entity often viewed as an inescapable monopoly, we're no strangers to negative commentary on social media, but there are a few misconceptions that the board needs to directly address in an effort to help prepare the public and the employees' perception of what's currently happening. Residency requirements. The notion that all employees, except those directly customer-facing, must reside within Jacksonville or even come into work in an office building lacks empirical support. No data or study substantiates this claim. It merely centers to a specific perception, often driven by political motivations. JSTO's legacy and board dynamics. Many JEA employees believe that JSTO's removal was unwarranted. While the recent reorganization had its hiccups, Jay's accountability during an all-hands team meeting set a commendable precedent, one that few of us have witnessed elsewhere. When he admitted that he could have handled it better, that's something I had never seen before as an employee at any of the companies I've ever worked at. We didn't see him make other mistakes, and he had our trust. There's a perception that a power struggle existed between the board and Jay. Comments like acting like an imperial CEO during the last board meeting have fueled this narrative, leading some to speculate that Jay's departure was an ego-driven decision, not a business one. Vicky Cavy's appointment is another misconception. Vicky Cavy's swift ascent to interim CEO raises eyebrows. This isn't about her competence or experience. It's about the lack of public discourse on alternative interim CEO candidates that troubles most JEA employees. The board's procedural missteps, calling for a vote before having any discussion, only amplify that concern. We, the rank and file, bear the brunt of your decisions. We drive the JEA vehicles, wear the logos, and field the questions from customers every day. Our perceptions of what happens in this room matter because they shape our interactions with customers. Perception isn't static. It can involve with transparency, informed discussions, and commitment to clarity. As we navigate these changes, please ensure that your actions align with the integrity and respect JEA must have for its customers and its employees. We're the customers of its custodians of its reputation.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Josh Melko, please.
Thanks, Board, for the opportunity to speak with you all today. My name is Josh Melko, Associate Professor at the University of North Florida, Southside resident. I've talked previously about renewable energy tax credits that can change the calculus for investing in energy generation, lowering the price of a given project 30 to 50%. And with clear guidance now out, I continue to urge JEA to act to build and own our own solar. Today, I want to focus instead on coal-fired systems. Most utilities see the writing on the wall and are taking steps to proactively plan for retirements of their coal fleets. Now, even more so with the EPA's recent finalized power plant rule that requires the use of carbon capture and storage on coal-fired plants, as well as requirements to reduce wastewater pollutants and to safely manage coal ash. Coal plants will have to cut their emissions 90% by 2032, using technology that doesn't exist or hasn't been demonstrated at scale, meaning any timeline for getting permits for that hypothetical technology and the costs associated are wildly speculative. Coal is dying, right? We need to protect the workers at our coal plant and help them transition to the new energy economy. Okay. Fortunately, there's a funding mechanism to help JEA proactively plan for this transition away from coal while protecting our workforce and our environment. There's a less well-known provision of the Inflation Reduction Act known as the Energy Infrastructure Reinvestment Program. Okay. The Department of Energy has $250 billion in loan authority. to loan to communities like ours, federally backed loans to projects that retool and replace energy infrastructure, while providing economic opportunities to the local community to ensure plant closures don't leave workers behind. This program explicitly includes a provision that allows JEA to use that money for remediation or decommissioning costs. JEA could use the program to finance the retirement of a coal plant, clean up any coal ash, develop that site into something else that spurs local economic growth, all while simultaneously financing the build out of other energy projects. JEA could use the funds to refinance other high-cost debt and equity to free up capital. Regardless, the program is intentionally designed to be flexible in order to meet the local needs of a community like Jacksonville. Utilities from all corners of the country are already applying to this program, like Duke Energy in the Carolinas, or Portland General Electric in Oregon, Consumers Energy in Michigan, Alliant Energy in Wisconsin, and Iowa. Additionally, public utility commissions and staff in other states like Arkansas, Louisiana, and Colorado have directed their utilities to study how this program can be utilized. Does JEA have a plan for doing any study like that or accessing these funds? Jacksonville is a really strong candidate for this program, but JEA must seek out these funds from the Department of Energy and work with the city of Jacksonville and local partners to implement it. Otherwise, the funds will go to other communities, as will the economic benefits. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Josh. And John Newton, please.
Hello, I am John Philanthropic, Resiliency Noonie, 8356 Bascom Road, Jacksonville, Florida, 32216, City Council District 4, CPAC Planning District 3, School Board District 3. I got to share with all you, got a new shirt. And just so you know, I mean, this stuff is really happening, but it's Todd Rubin, and the legislation is 2024-0286. You know, it's in two committees, Rules and Finance. So it was in Rules yesterday. You know, it's in Finance right now as we speak. And this is huge stuff because, in my opinion, you know, it's right here, it's going to be filmmaking, and it's going to be all of which are economic incentives funded by the city. So in other words, you know, we've heard of McMillions. It's a 6-part HBO documentary. Well, in Jacksonville, we're going to have McParks, you know, and so anyway, the reason I'm here, you know, is public access to the waterways. You know, I've been coming here forever, still need somebody to, from JEA. I haven't had anybody call me back, but anyway, you know, what I want to share with you, you know, again, you know, here is this resilient Jacksonville. I'm in it 4 times. This is 7 months old. Okay. So you open this up and right here, visit Jacksonville today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. So after a JEA board meeting, I go and I launch at River City Brewing. Awesome time, caught a redfish, went over to the South Bank. I'm just down to a minute. I come back, and you know what? I got a ticket. Now I got a court date. So, you know, when it comes to public access to our waterways, let me just say, 90%, Sandra Fettner, this came out of the study, 90% of the waterways in Duval County is private. Only 10% is public. The public access is horrible. So anyway, you know, I'm just down to like 30-some seconds. I know Councilman Boylan's after me, you know, and I have to apologize to the man. You know, I got to get him a shirt. But right now, here's the criteria, you know, for, you know, this film stuff. And one, okay, clarify residency requirements. Okay, right there, we're in Pottsburg. But this Office of Economic Development, down to 13 seconds, OGC, the Office of General Cinema, you know, Mark Wahlberg, Ken Burns, Steven Spielberg, you guys are going to be getting shirts. This is a national news story. And please, JEA, sponsor River Accord. You guys, we check off every box you can think of and then some. So I'll be back, and wish me luck on that court date because it's not looking good. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, John. Okay, and Nathaniel Rodefer. And again, I hope I pronounced that right.
All right, hello, and yes, you did pronounce that right. So my name is Nathaniel Rotifer. I live off of South Side. And in meeting the present needs, I have concern about the EIRP and how it plans to meet Jacksonville's energy needs, as well as the implications it has on Jacksonville's energy needs of the future. I understand fossil fuels are perceived as safe investments when considering reliability and affordability for customers, but their carbon and methane byproducts have growing residual impacts. As greenhouse gases contribute to warming the planet, a warming planet contributes to more extreme weather events. As a coastal city, Jacksonville and its residents are at heightened risk of damages of extreme weather. And at current, with the JEA's EIRP continuing to exacerbate the scale of these events, it causes me personal concern. I'm concerned over the extent to which JEA is planning for the future and how it will contribute to it. As a young professional, I want to settle in a city like Jacksonville, big enough to be a proper city, but small enough to be affordable. Though I also want to live in a city where my electrical needs do not directly contribute to the increasing destruction that extreme weather events inflicts onto others, or potentially even myself. When my family lived in Iowa, we lost our home to unprecedented flooding in 2008, along with the rest of the neighborhood. And now that neighborhood has simply been reduced to a public park space, as well as a floodplain. I'm sure the last thing anyone wants here in Jacksonville residents being displaced from their homes due to extreme weather, but the probability of that happening is contingent on the decisions made by organizations including JEA regarding greenhouse gas emissions. That said, at present, JEA does have the opportunity to start progressing towards a cleaner future that could help the environment, our local economy, and take advantage of green economic opportunities. In closing, I appreciate that JEA is considering the needs of today, but the utility needs to consider the decisions it will have and how it will affect future generations and their existence. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Nathaniel. And Landon, do we have any other comments online?
For those that have joined us virtually online, this is your time to go ahead and raise your hand. If you would hit the participant pane in the bottom right-hand corner, and next to your name, you will see the hand icon. If you click that, it will allow me to be notified that you like to speak for public comments. And we'll give everyone a couple of seconds. We do have a public comment. Ryan, I do see your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unlock your microphone, and you can come off mute now. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, good morning. You can hear me, that is correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. I just wanted to ask about the 205% increase on the meter fees. As a beginning customer of JEA, it started around a $5 meter fee for, let's say, the electric portion. It went up to $15, and now it's crawled its way up to $15.75, another 5%. Is there a particular continuous 200% of that coming that we can expect? I didn't expect, as a resident of Duval County, to see a 200% increase in my meter fee.
Anything else, Ryan?
In addition, is there going to be, I noticed that there was a 5% increase on the consumption usage, let's say the kilowatt power at about cents or so. Is JEA going to continue? Because if you do the basic math on that, you're talking $251 million based on the residents on the census website of 375,821 homes in the Duval County area or the zip code area. A 200% increase is what I'm emphasizing. Is that going to continue to happen to us residents? That seems a little absurd at a 205% total increase for meter costs. When in doubt, I see I have a minute left here. When in doubt, if inflation's been trained to us as children that it's 2% a year, how does 2% turn into a 205% increase?
Okay, anything else, Ryan?
rest.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Any other comments, Landon?
I do not see any other raised hands, and that would close out the virtual option for public comments. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Landon. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Council Member Michael Boylan for his remarks.
Thank you, Chair. I do appreciate the opportunity. A few months ago, I requested Jay and Ms. Cavey has also accommodated me to speak after public comment because I did want to hear what our community has to say. Perhaps people don't appreciate, I wasn't planning on saying anything, quite honestly, but I feel compelled to say something. My engagement with JEA began with the rewrite of Article 21 after what happened 4 or 5 years ago now. And so I've been very much engaged in the process, served on the Rules Committee that brought forward many of the board members that we see around this table today. So I, as a customer for 25 plus years, I do feel very tied to the focus of JEA. First of all, there are two words that come to mind, and I do appreciate the comments and the difficulties and the challenges that this utility faces, we as a community face as it relates to all of this. I can tell you from personal experience, my interactions with various members of management and the board, there's a real passion for the work that they do. The responsiveness to constituents that I have in my community and their concerns has been very tangible. And when I talk about confidence and trust, the trust comes from understanding and appreciating the quality of the people sitting around this table. I don't say that lightly. I don't say that often, but I do appreciate their earnestness by which they operate and what they do. Vicki Cavey, I've known for 20 plus years, and I worked with her during the study circle process with JEA, where we did some study circles in the tower, which brought together folks from the field and from the tower, if you will. So I understand the disconnect sometimes that exists in this kind of relationship. But I can't speak to her expertise, but I certainly can speak to her passion, her love, and her interest in making sure she does the best that she can during her term as the CEO. This isn't meant to be a rah-rah speech. It really meant a statement of fact and observation on my part. My interaction with the board members, particularly during the last transition, was very active. They communicated their concerns to me. Because of Sunshine, I don't have a lot of interaction with my colleagues with respect to their confidence in this board or in this leadership, because I can't have those conversations. But the silence is deafening. I think there is a confidence and understanding and appreciation of people like this sitting in this room who are we've been entrusted with probably the most important asset the city has. And so I do appreciate and understand the concerns that are raised. They're not easy to solve, but I think you've got the right people around this table to do that work. So I do appreciate the opportunity to share that, and I offer that as personal privilege, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Okay, Interim Managing Director, CEO report. Vicki, please.
Thank you, General DeSalvo. It's been a busy 5 weeks since our last board meeting. I've conducted employee outreach to all of our major service centers, different work locations, and various plants, which culminated with an employee town hall meeting that was attended by 940 of our team members. Stakeholder meetings held include the mayor's staff, city council president, and other council members, the Jacks Chamber Board, the Northeast Florida Builders Association, Mayo Clinic, large landowners, developers, and engineering firms, as well as our professional organizations, FMEA and APPA. The outreach efforts will continue and will include our environmental stakeholders. We have begun reviewing the remote work policy, headquarters staffing policy, the out-of-state workforce, and reorg, to name a few. Now I'd like to give an update on the Business Excellence ITN requested by the board. We've received 7 responses. They are currently being evaluated by our awards committee. We are planning to have the review completed soon and schedule a workshop in July for the top-ranked 2 or 3 firms to present to the board for final selection. As you remember, I was on the review committee, and I would like to request from the board approval for me to delegate my review of the responses to Joe Arfano, our deputy CFO.
So with that, Vicki, I agree too. So what I'd ask the board to move a motion that removes Vicki from the IT and Evaluation Committee, and Joe Alfano will replace her on that. Okay, have a motion, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay, good.
Thank you. Last week, we held a joint press conference on the Restore, Repair, and Resilience program with our partners, the City of Jacksonville, Lift Jacks, and Historic Eastside, to announce a $845,000 energy efficiency grant from the U.S. Department of Energy. Our folks worked really hard with COJ over the last year to bring this to fruition. Thank you to everyone who helped along the way. I'd like to update you on some electric activities. On April 25th, the EPA released a large package of rules. These rules, if passed as written, would represent some really striking changes to the way we generate electricity. JEA's Director of Environmental Operations, Kevin Holbrooks, has already began to be influential in helping raise questions about the rules and pointing out the reality for Florida and the people we serve. While we want to maintain what we have, we want to also acknowledge and help with the climate change. There is a long way to go before we get to the final rule. On Plant Vogel, as has been mentioned, we are now receiving power from Unit 4, started on April the 29th. So we are now receiving a total of 206 megawatts of carbon-free energy from Vogel, which allows JEA to continue to reduce its carbon emissions. Solar, I'm also pleased to announce that JEA has executed power purchase agreements with Florida Renewable Partners for 200 megawatts of solar power on 3 JEA-owned sites with 35-year terms. The sites are projected to be in service by December 2026 and will contribute towards our 35% clean energy goals by 2030. This month is Hurricane Month. May is the month that we celebrate, get ready for hurricane preparedness. It's also JEA's monthly safety focus. JEA will host our annual JEA COJ Hurricane Exercise June 4th, 5th, and 6th. We will be evaluating the coordination between operations in electric, water, wastewater, and customer experience and support functions within JEA and with the 4 counties in our service area. We participated on May the 10th with the Jax Ready Fest at the Convention Center. And as if on cue, that same day and time, a fast-moving weather system brought havoc across the southeast, including Jacksonville. The storms rolled in around 9 a.m. and within 30 minutes, we had approximately 56,000 customers without power. Outages occurred on both transmission and distribution lines. The damage to the distribution lines was mainly from downed trees and tree limbs. The damage included broken poles, down lines, damaged transformers, and associated equipment. Shortly after 10 a.m., the server supporting our outage map crashed, affecting our customers' ability to see restoration times and areas of towns that were impacted. That was bad news. The good news is the amazing work of our teams. Within the first 7 hours, we had 82% of our customers restored and 97% within 24 hours. Full restoration occurred on Sunday at 5 o'clock, 44 hours after impact. The server issue has been identified and addressed, and we held a town hall last night for our impacted customers for open dialogue. I wanted to share the day after the storm, we received a request from the City of Tallahassee for mutual aid crews. Tallahassee experienced rice-dread power outages and requested generators and water crews to help with their pump stations. In response, JEA sent 2 200-kilowatt generators and personnel on Saturday. After most of our electric restoration was complete, we sent electric crews as well to Tallahassee. On Monday morning, I received a text from Jody Finkley, who is the general counsel for the Florida Municipal Electric Association. He lives in Tallahassee. The text read, I saw a number of JEA trucks here in Tallahassee working really hard yesterday. Thank you. Tallahassee's electric system took more damage than the last 3 hurricanes combined, and this storm only lasted an hour. I want to end by again commending all of our employees who came together to restore our customers and the customers of Tallahassee. Thank you, General DeSalvo.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, performance update, please. I think Julie Crawford's going to be doing that.
Thank you. I'll be sharing the results of our corporate performance via our corporate scorecard, and the update today includes data through April 30th. So there were no lost time incidences in the month of April, and all of our reliability measures are ahead of our goals. Our total spend was under budget in April by $4.6 million due to fuel savings and capital savings, and year-to-date we're $65 million under budget. Our average customer bill did increase slightly, but it still remains well ahead of our goal, and JEA continues to be the lowest combined utility bill against our Florida benchmarks. We report our clean energy composition on a 1-month lag. So in March, we saw a slight increase in clean energy, but in April, as Vicki mentioned, Vogtle 4 came online, so we expect to see a steady increase in our clean energy composition over the remainder of this year. And that concludes my very short report on our corporate performance, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
May I ask a question around the employee engagement score? Do you know by chance the date of the last survey? February. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, next, for the consent agenda, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, and back to Vicki for the acknowledgement of competitions.
I am really proud to let you know of some awards that JEA has received. JEA received national recognition from the American Public Power Association for achieving exceptional electric reliability in 2023. For the second year in a row, JEA's Monterey Water Reclamation Facility received an honorable mention for the Earl B. Phelps Award for Outstanding Wastewater Treatment Facility Performance from the Florida Water Resources Conference. One of our employees at Monterey, Josh Williams, and if you're here, please stand. There's Josh. He received the Leroy H. Scott Award from the Florida Water Environment Association. It is given to a wastewater treatment plant operator who has made the greatest contribution to his or her fellow operators, or who did the best job in operating a plant, regardless of size or available equipment. Thank you, Josh. Next, we have Senior Environmental Scientist Sharon Taylor Piltz. Are you here, Sharon? She's in the back. Sharon works in our industrial pretreatment area, and she received the Albert B. Herndon Award from FWEA. This award is given to individuals who excelled in the industrial pretreatment field. Sharon is here in her field clothes because I think you have to go do an inspection right after this, correct? Thank you, Sharon. Next, we have our water wastewater team known as the Fecal Matter. They competed this past April at the Operations Challenge held at the annual Florida Water Resources Conference in Kissimmee. The Operations Challenge is a wastewater Olympics for professionals in the wastewater treatment industry. The competition is a showcase of excellence in wastewater treatment where skilled teams of professionals compete in a series of timed events. Our team consisted of, and please stand, Randy Ellis, Brenton Morin, Zasha Delorbe, Greg Geiger, Wayne Jones, Robbie Addy, Patrick Etheridge, Chris Swire, who actually served under General DeSalvo in Iraq. Ryan Cohey, Mike Fowler, Jason Jolly, and Kerry Lewis Jr., and Earl Davies. And also I'd like Jackie Shield to stand, the Director of Water, Wastewater Reuse, Delivery, and Collections. Let me tell you what they did. This team ranked first in the Process Safety and Collections event, placed second in the Laboratory and Maintenance events, and placed second overall in the entire Operations Challenge. They're also proud to have received the Best Hard Hat Design Award. The team will head to the National Operations Challenge in New Orleans on October 5th through the 9th. Thank you so much. Last but not least, the 2024 National APPA Lineman's Rodeo was held in Lafayette, Louisiana in April. JEA proudly participated in the event, sending 2 journeyman teams and 4 apprentices to showcase their skills and compete against the public power linemen from all over the U.S. Our apprentice competitors, please stand, Hunter Thomas, Peyton Thompson, Noah Sapp, and Ryan Cornegay. JEA apprentice Hunter Thompson placed second in the Hurt Man Rescue event. Apprentice Ryan Cornegay placed first in the Hurtman Rescue event and placed first overall in the apprentice category, defending his national title from 2023, where he also placed first overall. Congratulations. Our journeyman competitors were Frank Lee Taylor, Kelvin Jasper, Dwayne Jacobs, Virgil Harris, Cody Stokes, Caleb Maccabetus, Davey Hicken, and Mike Corbett. And I'd also like them to stand along with Jerry Creel, the Senior Manager of Distribution, Construction, and Maintenance. One of these teams, this team consisted of David, Caleb, and Cody, placed second in the 12 kV single phase dead end transfer and first in the 4 kV alley arm insulator changeout and first overall. JEA's apprentices, it's awesome. JEA's apprentices and journeymen brought home the hardware and proved that they truly are the best in the nation. This is JEA's first journeyman win overall in the National APPA Rodeo since 2013, and the first time in JEA history that both JEA journeyman teams and the JEA apprentice won overall at the rodeo. The teams will now be heading to the International Lineman's Rodeo in Kansas City in October. Again, congratulations. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Vicki. And if you all get a chance to talk to the competitors, talk about dedicated folks. One, they're in great physical condition. I was also told that they have a manual that's like 8 inches thick. As part of a written test, it's only 15 minutes long. So there's 15 minutes to cram 8 inches of stuff into their heads. But they do great work. So it's great you all represent JEA and Jacksonville. And Ted Phillips, I apologize, but we were so anxious to recognize our competitors. Let me get back to you for the quarterly financial update.
Thank you. That's going to be a hard thing to follow. I was hoping to be before them, but anyway, we'll run through our quarterly financial recap. These are as of the end of March, so we're halfway through the year. So this first slide we show in the top portion of it is our electric sales by megawatt hours, and good news is we're right where we thought we would be, very close to where we were last year. We're about 1% over where we had budgeted. In the 2 quadrants in the bottom of the chart, you can see our operations and maintenance budgets and our capital budgets. O&M is running slightly below budget amounts, but very close to the annual budget at 97%. And capital is also running slightly below at 92%, but we feel very good about all those numbers.
So for the year, you feel pretty comfortable staying budget?
On the electric side, yes, sir. We'll get to water in just a minute. Thank you. So this chart shows our electric revenues by month, comparing this year to last year. You see a significant drop in the revenues. This is mainly due to fuel costs being lower this year than it was last year. So we are $95 million less, but $107 million of that is due to lower fuel cost. And this chart, so we show the dark blue bars are what we are projecting our fuel costs to be in the future months. The light blue bars is what we were projecting last month. The good news on this chart really is that the market has become much more stable than it was several months ago. So we are, our fuel costs are back in the $30 range, and we're not seeing large swings from month to month. So that's the good news.
What's your hedging profile?
So on for this current year, we're about 75% hedged, and then going into the next year, we're a little over 50% hedged. So each month, you know, that shifts a little bit out, but we feel confident where we're hedged at right now, keeping rates stable.
Where's your thought process next year's as far as hedging?
So we, excuse me?
Gas prices. Is there any way?
Yes. So we're hedged partly all the way out for 5 years. So we're taking advantage of some of the historically low gas prices, and when per our hedging policy, we have a targeted range and then a range above that where we think to optimize our hedging, and with the low rates, we are moving towards that optimal range.
My suggestion is to look at hedging as much as you can
Yes, sir.
in these. And I know the cost of nat gas in the future is higher than what we're seeing today, but whatever you can hedge, I think would be a smart thought process.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, we'll move over to water now. So here are our water sales by month. So water is slightly down compared to budget, and this really is due to the effect of the heavier rainfall in the first 6 months of the year than normal. So as we start heading into the hot summer months, we could easily make that up, but we'll just have to see what Mother Nature deals us as we move forward. As you can see, the O&M budget in the left-hand quadrant, bottom quadrant, is slightly, our projections are slightly above budget. Right now, we are at about 3% over budget, or $8 million. We will continue to monitor that over the next 6 months and work to pull that within the budgeted range. So back to your question, we've got a little work to do on the water side to maintain our budget, but we're working on that. And then on the capital side, we are slightly under our spend on budget for that. So back again, this is the water revenue. You can see that across the board, our sales are down on water, sewer, and reclaimed for water, and this will again is driven by the heavy rainfall, and then we have less usage during the cooler months of the year.
just listening to your meeting, and Joe, thanks for setting that capital project group up, but I'm still not understanding all the projects we got, not fully understanding where we are as far as, where we are above and below budget. And I know you're working on John and Rick, but it's just, it's something that some of these projects are 5-year projects, and I don't understand where we are, what we're doing. So I appreciate you setting that committee up, and look forward to fully understanding, where we are and what projects have to have, what projects can we delay. So how we get through this capital cycle we're in. Just, yeah.
All right, on this slide, we'll quickly review our metrics. The top half is electric, so you can see our days of liquidity are well above the targeted value. Debt service coverage is above the targeted value, and our debt to asset ratio, again, is above our targeted. Our fixed coverage charge is slightly below our target. We do feel that there's a little bit of a timing difference here, and during the next 6 months, we will get that fixed coverage ratio back up to the 1.6 or above. Our weighted average yield of investments, you see we are still slightly below our target. So we're 19 basis points below that target, but we are inching closer and closer to that target. Back in December, we were 35 basis points below that target. So as we have more investments come due and we're able to invest at higher rates, we're able to move forward on that. On the water side, days of liquidity, we're slightly above the target at 109. Our debt service coverage ratio is well above the targeted amount of 1.8. Debt to asset ratio, here again, we're well above our target of 50% at just slightly above 40%. Fixed coverage, our fixed charge coverage here is at 3 times versus the 2 target, and then our investment yield is the same on water as it is in electric because we pool our investments. But here again, we are creeping closer to that, and hopefully we will be at target before the year's over. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Okay, next item on the agenda, the interim managing director, CEO employment agreement. I believe all the board members that have an opportunity to review Vicky's employment agreement. Let me ask, are there any questions or comments at this time on it? Okay, and if not, then I'd like to have a motion to approve the employment agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, then for our capital projects committee report, John Baker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me address Bobby Stein's comments. This first meeting that we just had of the capital projects committee, just to remind everybody, with the amount of capital that we have scheduled to spend over the next 5 and 10 years, the board deemed that it was appropriate and wise that we be involved. We understand the processes that are being used to bid these programs, the budgets, the financial impact they'll have, and so forth. And so we had our first meeting on May 14th, and we did a deep dive into what is called the construction management at risk type of a project. And that's different than we're all used to, where you have engineers design a project, you put it out for bid, and
the low bid gets it. This is very much more iterative. You look at, you decide who is the best contractor, and you begin to work through these projects. Initially, I think we all were terrified of the lack of control. And I think what we have learned in this process, and should have known all along, is that JEA is doing this in exactly the right way. These projects are long. They require us getting way ahead of the supply chain so that we will be able to complete these projects. And we not only have a guaranteed maximum price with this contract so that there can't be big overruns, but we also have another contractor well-versed in this who serves as the owner's representative and monitors all the bids, all the subcontractor bids, the processes that are being used. It's a good program. And a lot of utilities around the country are doing it for the very reasons that contracting has changed. And I'll get to this later, but a very vivid example of why we need to do that was we did a typical design and then bid contract on our Arlington East water project, and we got one bidder. And the comments that we got from those that did, and these are national companies, they're not local guys that, don't have the wherewithal to do it. They said these are very complicated, they're long range, there's too much risk for them. So these are different times as far as how we bid these contracts, and we're learning as a board how it works. And we'll try to keep you all, our committee will try to keep you all up to date on how it's going, what are the good things and what are the bad things as we go forward. The committee met on May 14th, and present were committee members Rick Morales and Zachary Faison, and myself, along with board members Bobby Stein and Chair DeSalvo. The staff present included Raynetta Marshall, Ted Phillips, and Hai Vu. The first thing we did was dig into these processes and the CMAR process, and is there ways to tighten up? We had an audit that showed there were some defects in a couple of jobs, and we have tightened up our procedures, and Raynetta and Ted reviewed that project delivery process, and as I mentioned, followed by some proposed process changes to make sure that, number one, the delegation of authority limits are not exceeded, as well as updates to the construction manager at risk process, the CMAR process. We discussed the authority limits, and it was proposed that projects in excess of $50 million would need board approval. Currently, that is set at $100 million. The reason it's so high is that you have ongoing operating and maintenance contracts like buying coal or gas that routinely go over $100 million and could cramp management's ability to run the company. And so they're going to come back to us with a proposal at the June meeting so that we can, these capital projects do need limits, and the board does need to understand them and be able to ask the questions to represent the public. We also agreed to meet quarterly for the time being, given the high capital spending that is projected in the next few years. The staff brought before us a proposal to approve a project to complete upgrades to the Buckman Water Reclamation Facility. This is our largest water plant, and the majority of the biosolids, mechanical equipment, and residual management facility have reached the end of their useful life and need to be replaced. The biosolid system replacement project is being delivered by a construction manager at risk project with Corolla Engineers as the engineer and Wharton Smith as the CMAR or contractor. At our previous meeting, the board ratified the Seymour contract in the amount of $104,107,000. And let me be clear about this. This is a buildup. We started out with a contract that was, $1 million, and then we finally worked it up to where it was $104 million. And of course, that terrified those of us that are used to seeing projects with budgets, and when you exceed budgets, that's a bad thing. It's a normal thing here because we are building the project as we go and trying to and making sure that we have sufficient checkpoints to make sure that it is the most efficient way going forward. So we've approved at the previous meeting $104 million project. At this meeting, we were presented with an additional request of $205 million to award Wharton Smith a not to exceed total of $309,259,000. Additionally, we were advised that estimated future requests on this project at Buckman would add another $78.5 million to replace storage tanks, to rehab the biosolids facility, and the aeration and diffuser replacement. These are being reviewed and will come before us at a later time. Again, we discussed the CMAR process, which includes a proposed guaranteed maximum price schedule and has the maximum price schedule and also the independent contractor that serves as the owner's representative. The alternative delivery process has been chosen because of the small number of bidders and the complicated nature and large scale of this project. Staff and the ownership rep are comfortable with the subcontractor bids, which were delineated in the proposal, and they have recommended that the board approves this level. And I would ask if we could get a motion to that effect.
Motion.
Second.
And I'll just comment again, Joe, thank you for setting this committee up, because a lot of us are learning. I mean, I've been in the building business, but the other thing you talk about is on the Buckman, what are the alternatives? And that is it's cost prohibitive if we don't finish this project. But I just want to thank you and John and Rick for taking this on, because just for me, it's a learning process. And I think everybody in this industry, it's a learning process. So the better we get, I think this committee will have a lot of being productive for the future of our capital programs.
Yeah, no, I agree, Bobby. And John, great job leading that committee. I'll just say, us getting smart on the CMAR process, et cetera, it's a work in progress too. It's very complicated. But I will say the process has its control points. And 2 months ago, we didn't realize that. So this is all part of the learning process. The other thing too is a lot of it still, when you get to these huge projects, you sort of don't know what you don't know. It's like an old house that you're doing something and you find something else. It's going to happen. You have to expect that. And so after that committee meeting, though, with the great work of the staff and John's leadership, we're beginning to understand exactly what risk is involved, because there is going to be risk. It's inevitable, but there are control points on it too. And there actually is a good system in place to keep this thing from going, off the charts, which is sort of 2 months ago. We were sort of thinking that, so that's great work on that, John. I appreciate that.
But I'm also very much in agreement with Mr. Stein on the fact that we need, while this is an iterative process that gets built up on each project, I can see that it has the risk of getting away from us. And we have to be very cognizant of that. And I think that's where we will drill down next, is understanding how we as a financial institution, as well as an operating utility, can make sure we have the sufficient controls to not let it get out of hand. A couple of other things. Staff also reviewed, as I mentioned, a project on the Arlington East Water Reclamation Facility.
Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify, you have a motion on the table.
Right, so for the Buckman.
That's been seconded, and you just need, you taking comment, you need to vote on that one.
Yeah, so all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Passed.
It's what happens when you don't let the chairman run the meeting. Excuse me. The Arlington East Water Reclamation Project was advertised for bids, and we received only one bid from Wharton Smith for $96,857,000. I mentioned the number because the $100 million limit did not require staff to come to the board or to the Capital Projects Committee because it's below the $100 million. They're being very careful to make sure they don't exceed these limits and not have the board fully apprised. And so when the numbers get high and close to 100 million, they're bringing them to us. We don't have to vote to approve them, but we do get the knowledge of what's going on and what the situation is. It's interesting that the bid of 96 million was 20% higher than our engineer's estimate. And obviously the red flags went out. We went back and examined the engineer's estimate, and it was clear that they had not taken into account the rising cost of materials and labor. And in fact, management was willing to certify us that they thought that the bid was appropriate and should be accepted. Our committee was worried, and what the single bidder process is troublesome, and we asked if it was possible that we could rebid this project, pause it for a while, rebid it, and come back and see if we couldn't get some more bidders into the game. Management did not feel like a delay of 6 months or anything in that order of magnitude would be problematical, and so that's what we're doing. We're delaying that project. Finally, we reviewed a proposed easement for electric transmission and water transmission projects. There is a water transmission project from Deerwood to the Green Water Facility that has 2.5 miles of reclaimed water main and 7 miles of raw water main, and is currently under construction. The Mayo to Greenland Energy Center is an electric transmission project containing 10 miles of 230 kV transmission lines. The water easement was appraised at a cost of $9.3 million, and the electric route at $9.8 million. So a total of $19.1 million from one landowner. The landowner has offered to sell it to us for $22 million, not the 19.1. And so there was, as you can imagine, there was great discussion at the committee of why we should either offer them the appraised amount, or if it was not accepted, that we would go forth with eminent domain. And management agreed to bring this project back to us at the June meeting. Subsequent conversations with management have indicated that we would be making a mistake not to take the offer that the landowner has given us, because it would slow down the project that has already been started and cost us a good bit more than the extra money on the land. But that will be the project, that will be a source of discussion at the June meeting. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. If there are any questions.
Any questions at all?
The only thing I'd add, John, is there a way that we can look at some of these capital projects, and because we've got a lot of capital we're going to be spending in the next 3 to 4 years, there's some things that we can, move out on the calendar to smooth out our capital spend in the next 4 or 5 years. It's just a thought.
I think it's a great thought, and it's worthy of us looking at it, and we'll report back to you. You got that, Madam?
Okay, any other questions at all? Great, thanks, John. You're doing a great job by the committee. Okay, next, I think Gary Baker is going to talk Southern Company Transmission.
Hey, Gary. Doing well. Good morning, all. Good morning, Board of Directors. I'm here to present for the board information and knowledge related to a 206 megawatt transmission service position on the Southern Company transmission system, and it's renewable that's stated for June 1 of 2025. As background, just to kind of connect the dots here, JEA purchased capacity and energy from Southern Company Services throughout most of the 80s, 90s, and 2000 under a unit power sales agreement. I think we called it coal by wire back in the day, just for everybody. We bought that because the cost to this purchase was, to our customer, was more economical than any other, than our cost or our fleet at the time. On June 1 of 2020, JEA chose not to renew the UPS agreement with Southern Company, as the cost of the capacity and energy related to the unit power sales agreement was not as economical as other options we had, capacity and energy options we had at that time. Accordingly, the transmission services associated with this agreement was converted to long-term firm service under the Southern Company's open access transmission tariff for use of delivering JEA's entitlement of Vogtle 3 and 4, and for other purchases for JEA until Vogtle 3 and 4 was commercial. Long-term service requires a commitment of 5 years, and any renewals must be requested at least 1 year prior to the end of service to ensure rollover capability. The initial 5-year commitment began in June of 2010 and was approximately $32 million. Since then, the service has been renewed twice. First on June of 2015 for about $38 million, and then on June 1 of 2020 for $48 million. JEA is prepared to submit a renewal request by May 31st of 2024, end of this month, to ensure continuation of service for Vogtle 3 and 4. The cost for the next 5-year period is projected to be $69 million. Southern Company uses rates that are calculated annually. approved by FERC and trued up for actual costs. Accordingly, the rates and expenditures are estimated and subject to adjustment based on the actual costs incurred by Southern Company, based on FERC rule. This item is presented for board's information and knowledge, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is this part of our Vogel cost? Is this already factored in?
I'm not positive, maybe Joe can, yes.
Okay.
It's roughly about $6 a megawatt. It's roughly about $6 a megawatt hour.
Okay. I mean, Joe, I get back to transmission is not just this, but what we're dealing with in transmission in the future. It's, as I understand it, Ted, it's 25% of cost of electricity produced. So I think it's something that we should look at, you know, whatever our transmission is now in the future, number one, and with our commitment to gas, what is the future of our transmission lines, and do these purveyors have the capacity to provide for us? So it'd be something worth looking at.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bobby.
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
If you look at the schedule that was presented to us on the costs, they're going up about 6 or 7 and then 8% a year. You mentioned in your description that it had to be approved by FERC and that there was their actual costs. I mean, so could these numbers change, or are these locked in as being the quote actual cost for the next 5 years?
Only the first year is locked in.
Only the first year.
First year. They have forecasted, I think, years through the 4th year of it. And then JEA, based on the rate of increase for the previous 4 years, we forecasted the 5th year. But they're renewed and they're trued up annually. So at the end of the day, they're not fixed.
We're doing 5 years, and yet we've got, what, a 20-year contract with Southern Company on Plant Vogel. Should we be looking at a longer contract?
We could. There's nothing that stops us from doing that. The problem is this prices change. There's no real benefit. And if any one of the 5 years, if there's opportunities that presents itself to JEA could get out of this if that stuff happens.
But to follow on John's question, what's the alternative?
There is no alternative.
So we're relying on FERC to negotiate for us.
Right.
So what's the process to work with FERC on making sure that we have competitive transmission rates?
Not positive all the ins and outs of that, but certainly we can lobby first, FERC. There's oversight to that. There's a peer group of people who take service that JEA reviews. At the end of the day, we can make comments and so forth under not a lot of controls, unfortunately.
Joe, if we could understand better what our options are with FERC to make sure that we're working to make sure we have as competitive rates as possible.
And that 5 years from now, it'll be available to us. We're saying we might get a better offer, so might they.
We have rollover rights. They cannot discontinue service as long as we renew it 1 year prior.
But we have no alternative. The only ability for us to work on rates is with FERC. So, I mean, do we hire or have we hired somebody to represent us to make sure we have the most competitive rates possible? That's my question, Vicki and Joe, is what is that process, if that makes sense?
That's a very good question. But you meant the other thing, I'm under the impression after the 20-year mark, if we wanted to continue drawing off Vogel, I thought it involved other of the power purchase entities to also approve it. It's not just us saying we want to. I think, isn't that, we're certainly relying, I think, on the other partners in this to approve us going past the 20-year. Is that about right?
We should not rely on them to do that.
No, I know, but I think I'm under the impression we're in that situation.
Yeah, I'm not certain, maybe Joe or someone can speak to the PPA portion of that.
Good morning. Sorry about that. We have negotiated a right of first refusal if one of the MEAG member cities wants to leave the project. That's the only contractual right we have at the moment. There's a possibility at the end of 20 years, we walk away and we don't have anything, basically.
Yeah, we're finished after 20 years, but I think over time, there'll be some members that will sell part of.
We're hopeful.
Yeah.
Because of the cost that some of those member cities, I believe 37 of the 49 MEAG member cities participate in Vogel. So I think we're going to have an opportunity.
Great. All right, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
So yeah, we do need to run down exactly how we interact with FERC on getting some say into this. Okay, good. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay, could I have see Brad Crowe for your technology strategic plan, please?
Good morning, Chair DeSalvo and member of the board. My name is Brad Kroll. I'm the Chief Information Officer here at JEA. I've been proudly serving JEA in our community for just close to 3 years. So I've spoken to you many times in the past before, but it's been focused around cybersecurity and our posture around cyber defense. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Technology Services Group in its entirety and how we're foundational to the utility and how the projects and the operations that we support are helping support the utility on a daily basis. Back in November of 2023, you were first introduced to the enterprise planning process. Since that presentation, you've received presentations around the long-range financial plan, the fuel plan, the resource plan, and today I'm presenting to you on the technology plan. Subsequently, you will receive a workforce plan as well. These plans support the long-range trajectory of the organization, and they ensure the alignment and interdependency between all the plans. Investing in JEA's future through technology. Today, I'm here to talk to you about how people are core to everything we do and critical to our success. And it's a theme that I will continue to reemphasize. Technology talent is scarce and in high competition. We need to recruit, grow, and retain talent in order to be successful and maintain continuity of services for the utility. We need to focus on becoming a data-driven organization. Cyber needs to continue to be top of mind for the organization. The threat landscape of the cyber world is forever changing, and we need to stay ahead of the bad actors. There's no point investing in technology if we're not going to invest in cyber to protect our assets and our people. Governance is important for effective management of our department. Aligning our strategic objectives allows us to get to the end goal quicker and more efficiently, which creates value for the utility. Unfortunately, there was a lack of investment over previous years, and now we're playing catch up while trying to innovate and implement new technologies that will propel the utility forward and allow us to adapt to changing business conditions. Today, I'm here before you to talk about a number of things, but I wanted to give you this representation. It's a busy slide, but it shows the vast and complex systems landscape that we support for all of our operations. The picture on the left with the green markers. We monitor all these systems real time on a 24/7, 365 basis. It takes a large number of people and many different talented and diverse skill sets to support technology services operations to keep the utility systems functioning. I'm happy to report you'll see in the red circle in the middle our Glint surveys. There was a question earlier about our Glint survey results. Our team scored the organization, and particularly the technology services department, very, very high in these areas. We're a process-driven and metric-driven organization, and we maintain month-to-month key metrics to measure our performance and continue our evolution towards continuous improvement. We follow industry best practices with respect to how we manage our IT operations, and as I mentioned, we're in a continuous process improvement to continue improving what we're doing. Before you is a representation of some of the leaders represented from the technology organization. These are people that I'm proud to call my colleagues. And our organization is very, very large, and we are very blessed with many great individuals within the technology services organization. There's many long tenured individuals who bring vast amount of utility and IT experience. I brought before you today this SWOT analysis to represent some of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are presented for the technology organization today within JEA. But I don't want you to take just our word for it. We've had several third-party organizations that have come in and audited the technology services organization to provide their feedback on how we're doing. You know, I spoke about people and how they're core to being foundational to what we do. It's really, really a strength for JEA. We need to continue to focus around improving governance and ensuring adherence to policies that guide the organization. We need to focus on compliance and alignment with continuing to keep the utility safe. We need to align with our stakeholders to make sure that we have line of sight to organizational objectives and making sure that we as an organization are doing the right things for the larger JEA. Like the rest of the organization, we're under continual cost pressures. And so we have to manage the cost changes and inflation that are impacting everything that we do. And like with the rest of the organization, we have an aging workforce. So I come back to my point again about investing and looking at long-term investment in people. I'm sure lots of you have heard things like artificial intelligence and other technologies that are out there today, and you hear about it every day in the news and in the media. It's important that we continue to make investments in emerging technologies. It's also important that we forge partnerships with our communities to move the utility forward in terms of investments in emerging technologies. New emerging technologies will differentiate us, improve our operations, and improve how we serve our customers. We need to also focus on becoming a data-driven organization. Earlier, Julie presented to you some of the strategic scorecards, but we need to embrace more and more data. We're a data-rich organization, but we're yet to be a data-driven organization. So while we're talking about data, as I already mentioned, we're data-rich, but we're not yet data-driven. Data will enable us to pursue continued excellence in what we do as a utility. Our data journey depicted here is to improve operations and build upon a strong foundation of people, processes, and technology. What you see before you is a stand, walk, run, and fly model. It's about the journey of moving from descriptive to prescriptive analytics. And I'm proud to say that we're well along our way in the path of this journey. We need to use new tool sets like artificial intelligence and machine learning to augment resource constraints, to help us use automated data insights to improve JEA operations. As I spoke about earlier, line of sight from the corporate objectives to what we're doing within the department is critical. TS engages with various business units to understand business processes, and we need this to lead strategic solution development. Technology services is a part of the core strategic planning team, and we must have an enterprise perspective on all that we do. Technology follows guidance provided by both business units for the purpose of implementing and aligning technology solutions. We can't just be an order taker, but we need to have a voice at the table to understand the needs of the organization. This will allow us to align with corporate goals. It will enhance motivation and engagement. It will improve decision-making. It will streamline communications. It will encourage better resource utilization. It will enhance collaboration, and it will help us be more adaptable and responsive to the needs of our customers and the utilities' needs. As I've mentioned before, I've come before the board a few times to talk about cybersecurity. Cyber needs to continue to be top of mind for everyone in the organization. We have a slogan, it's everyone's responsibility. Cybersecurity is multifaceted, and there's many different areas that make up our cyber defenses. It will continue to be a top priority for the organization, and we will continue to validate our cybersecurity posture with third-party outside audits and continue strengthening our relationship with JEA's compliance organization. Cybersecurity renewal and the positive feedback from the underwriters and our ability to secure adequate coverage at reasonable prices is critical to our success. Mr. Stein brought up the point last time I was talking with you all about the renewal of our cyber insurance. Last time we were able to increase our overall coverage and decrease our premium costs. We're currently going through our cyber renewal process, and we continue to have good cooperation from our partners that provide that service. So that's a testament to our cybersecurity posture here at JEA. I alluded to earlier the lack of investment within JEA's core technology systems over the past number of years. I want to draw your attention to this slide that shows our plan for the next number of years and the investments that we're going to make in some of our core systems across our key business areas, including operations, customer experience, our back office systems, core technologies, and cybersecurity. Well, we can't just focus on investments on modernizing our current tech stack. We also have to take into consideration innovative and disruptive technologies like what I spoke about earlier about artificial intelligence. So it's a balance between that. And I believe that the portfolios and plans that we have create that balance for the organization. Technical debt, which means our aging systems and infrastructure, is a risk that I outlined within the SWOT analysis. Both has been highlighted by both outside parties and internal to the organization. Lack of investment in core applications has led for a need for us to catch up. At the same time, as I mentioned already, we need to invest in merging new technologies and drive new capabilities. Just to share with you some of the investments that we're making over the next number of years. We're going to be making close to a $7 million investment in our customer information systems upgrade. We're going to be investing close to $13 million in a new enterprise asset management solution. We're going to be looking at a new human capital management solution, HR solution, for close to $6 million. And there are many other big enterprise projects that we're going to be making these investments. Today, I talked to you about the key pillars of our technology plan, with people being core to all we do. We need to address technical debt while modernizing our technology stacks. We need to continue to invest in cyber, and we need to make sure that our customers and internal stakeholders are safe. We need to drive to be a data-driven organization. We need to align with our stakeholders on plans to strategize for our success. We need to focus on our people. And we need to stay focused on cost pressures to make sure that we can deliver world-class platforms for the organization. Thank you, and I'll take any questions from the board.
I'll just make a comment. I don't know if you guys are aware of what's happening in the healthcare industry. You know, there are two major disruptions, large institutions, and I just think we got to do everything we can to protect our infrastructure. I mean, cyber, as I said to you last time, the insurance companies are the best at protecting cyber, but in today's world, I'd be very thoughtful on staying on top of that issue, Vicki. I mean, I think that can, you know, we have hurricane season coming, but that can be a very disruptive situation. And then, I mean, if you, on top of some of these healthcare institutions, they are shut down for 2 or 3 weeks. So I'd be very thoughtful in that area.
Hey, Brad, so with the stat that jumped out at me was that 22% of the TS personnel retired and eligible in 5 years. I know we do a lot with UNF and other universities here. Do we have a program maybe of getting them like an internship and then post-school employment to recruit now? So 5 years, we can have some of those folks?
I'm happy to say we do. And in fact, I've had lunch in the last couple of weeks with some of the interns that are here working at JEA. And we have a number of those individuals within our technology services department. I sit on the board of UNF organization and have very tight partnerships with JU and FSCJ and other institutions of higher education here in town. And so we as a collective organization are very much in, key partnership, as I mentioned in one of the slides, is key to our success. So we're looking at the future of talent, and we're actively working on succession plans for the organization because we realize that a lot of our organization is moving towards retirement age, and we have to be thinking and keeping those retirements top of mind. So and Dave is going to speak to you all about the resource plan and some of the plans that we have with people, but we're actively thinking about that and investing in our people.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business, new business, open discussion? Okay, nothing heard. Just two comments real quick. One, again, just for the JEA folks who supported the Tallahassee last week or whatever, just great teamwork. And again, that shows just how important JEA is not only to Jacksonville, but Florida and also other states too. So kudos to them. And just one quick comment on the public comment. So again, they don't fall on deaf ears. Some very important issues were brought up and we'll be addressing those. So we appreciate the opportunity to hear comments from the public and significant issues that surface from that. We will come back and address those, just to let everybody know. Okay, this time, any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. This meeting's adjourned.
Did you have something, Virginia?
I was just gonna just let you know that the city's general counsel here is in attendance at our meeting. Mr. Michael Fackler, he's here in the front row.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, any other things before I adjourn for the second time? Okay, thanks. Have a good day.